coach said that I was too old. I was learning Kuchipudi since the age of 5. I was competing without a coach, without anyone. Since it was the first apparatus, they called my name and there was like air cannons and everybody cheering and all of that. I wasn't actually expecting to get a goal.
That India is following. I'm not talking about any government specific.
Because Khelo India, it starts from the most basic level.
And these were Commonwealth Games. In the NoFilter series, we have a very interesting person who's going to talk to us. She is Meghana Reddy Gundlapalli, India's leading rhythmic gymnastics sportswoman.
Thank you.
Tell us, where did it all start?
When I first started gymnastics, I wasn't quite aware that there were different kinds of gymnastics. For me, it was just gymnastics. And the reason why I actually started was my brother. He used to go for gymnastic lessons here in Hyderabad at the LB Stadium. And I used to just accompany him. I used to, go with him but sit outside. I never went inside for class. And the gymnastic center over there, it had just these two small windows on the sides of the main entrance from which you could see inside. And, parents and, other people were not allowed when the classes were going on. So I remember one day like seeing through the window and then I saw him and the other kids, they were jumping on the trampoline. And me being, I was quite the active child when I was young. And that thing, jumping on the trampoline seemed so much fun and that really captivated me. So I begged mom to, join me in the classes as well. So originally, the reason why I didn't go was because the coach said that I was too old to join. I was 11 and a half years, which is usually considered old in a sport like gymnastics, where kids join at the age of 3 and 4. So the coach didn't want to take me in the beginning, but I think after enough persuasion, he took me in. And yeah, that's how I started gymnastics. But it was because of my coach that I found out that there are different kinds of gymnastics, and he was the one who suggested I go into rhythmic gymnastics because for two reasons mainly. One was my age, and the second one was because I was a classical dancer at that time. I was learning Kuchipudi since the age of 5, so he thought that a little bit of the artistry that I gained from learning Kuchipudi, that would help in a sport like rhythmic gymnastics, where we have to perform routines to different musics. So that's how I actually learned about this sport.
Sure. Walk us through that first moment when you were on the floor, about to start in a major competition. What were the first 2 minutes or 60 seconds or 120 seconds look like?
So, I mean, for us, it's only 1 minute 30 seconds. So, 20 seconds is also quite long.
Sure. Right, okay.
But,
Understood.
But I think my most memorable moment was at the Commonwealth Games, at the 2018 Commonwealth Games. There was quite a bit of problem that I had faced during that time. My coach wasn't there with me during the competition. So, I would have probably been the only athlete in the history of, competitions where I was competing without a coach, without anyone. There was no team, nobody.
And these were Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, these were the Commonwealth Games. So there was no team, no manager, no one. It was just one gymnast, and I was there a week earlier, So I did my trainings myself. I had to fill out the paperwork or the forms, everything by myself. And there was just, on the day of the competition, there was just a physiotherapist who was there with me, just in case something happened. So yeah, I had all of that going on, and then I was on the phone with my coach. They were announcing my name, and I was on video call with my coach, just before going. And my coach was in the stadium, she was in the audience. It was not that she wasn't there, she was in the audience, but she couldn't be there with me. So there was all of that going on, and then they called my name, and I remember going onto the carpet and I took my starting position. So when they called my name, since it was the first apparatus, they called my name and there was air cannons and then everybody cheering and all of that. And then I go onto the carpet, I take my, starting position, and everybody goes quiet. It's like pin drop silence in such a huge stadium with so many people around, and everything was quiet. And there was like, I wouldn't even say a few seconds. I think it was just like a second or a half second of silence that was there from the moment when I took my starting position and from the moment my music started. And that was, honestly, it felt like forever. And that was like the most terrifying thing ever. And yeah, so then my music started, and I did my first element that I had. And as soon as I caught the first element, that's when the entire crowd started to cheer.
So it's always the first few seconds before you get started, and then you get into the rhythm of the sport, right?
Yeah, so we basically have a start position. We are like, static to just show to the judges. We kind of like salute the judges. We step onto the carpet and we take our starting position. After we take our starting position, then the music starts.
What was it like when you won gold recently in the championships in Italy? Um, when you actually went down to the podium to get your gold medal? What was that moment?
I wasn't actually expecting to get a gold. So like I didn't go into the competition expecting for a medal. For me, I had never looked at medals as a thing for me. It was always my scores. I wanted to keep improving my scores. So, and it was actually my personal best that I got at that competition, which I was not expecting at all. Like I played 2-3 competitions before that, and like I was getting a good I think around 14 points, 14, 15 points average I was getting, which was what I was expecting that day as well. But I remember, so I was playing with two different operators. I finished my first operator, and I couldn't give my 100%. Like I got a good score, but I felt like it wasn't my 100%. So when I went in for that second operator, the one in which I got the gold, I just went in like with complete I wouldn't want to say anger, but like kind of like that. So
Like a vengeance.
yeah, like a vengeance. Yeah, like a vengeance. So yeah, I just went in and I did everything, and then I came out, and it took a couple of minutes for my scores to come. So like after me there were like 3-4 other gymnasts who were continuing, and I was just standing behind. There was a curtain, and I was just standing at the corner of the curtain waiting for the scores. And when the scores came, I was like shocked. I wasn't expecting that much. So yeah, I think that moment was more of a excitement for me. Like I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Is that my score?"
You get a call from the center, and somebody speaks to you from the central government and says, Meghna, we're going to make you the Union Minister for Sports. What would your first 30 days to 1 year look like as the Minister for Sports in India?
I don't know if I can like speak for other sports because obviously I don't know how it is in other sports. But when it comes to gymnastics, one thing I've noticed is that the kids don't have exposure to competitions. You know, they we like even me, like I don't play as many competitions as I hope to in a year. To get that exposure to be able to compete at an international level, at a to stand at an elite level in the world. So that is something that I have noticed is missing a lot. Like for me at least, I was lucky enough that I was able to play, even if it was club level tournaments or very small tournaments also, I was able to play them. And I have played a lot of them, especially when I was in Italy. I used to go for a competition every week, and that is something that the kids need, especially at a young age. They need training is one thing. You can train for hours and hours together, that is a different thing. But when you are in that competition environment, the entire uh, vibe changes. The feel that you get when you're in a competition is different, and that is something that the kids need to get used to right from a young age. And that's something that I have noticed is quite missing. Like I said, I cannot speak for other sports, but in gymnastics I have definitely seen that missing. We haven't had an official nationals happen since 2015. The last official nationals I played was in 2015, the national games. And after that, only after that, recently the Khelo India that started, that has been the official competitions in India.
In any case, in India, you only have people playing cricket, to some extent soccer, in eastern parts of India, and a variety of other.
Yeah, there's badminton, there's boxing. And yeah, and one more thing that I noticed was, like, like you said, there are crores of funds that are allocated for sports. But I think most of them go towards the sports that are already established. Established as in, like, if there is an athlete who has achieved something in that sport comes into the limelight. But there are so many other sports that are that go unrecognized. Like, you take rhythmic gymnastics, for example. Gymnastics did come into the limelight in 2016 when Deepa Karmakar qualified for the Olympics, and that was the first time that anyone did. And at that time, it came into the limelight, and there were a lot of facilities and I think a lot of funds that were allocated towards artistic gymnastics. Like, people became aware that there is a sport like artistic gymnastics, but they still don't know that that is not the only kind of gymnastics. There's 6 different types that come under the umbrella term of gymnastics. So yeah, that's another thing that I noticed. When, like, and most of the time, like, even I have been told, like, by the government that you achieve something, like, you show us results, and then we will support you. So this kind of becomes like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, we need those funds to be able to produce results, but then we are told, show the results and we'll give you the funds.
While we are fighting for, setting up the basic infrastructure in schools that are underserved, the government is doing extremely great stuff in a variety of formats to help transform education in the last 20 years, for example. That being said, India still needs a lot more. India is a huge country, right? So India needs a lot more. So now, if we were to set up ancillary sports facilities, because no talent needs to be identified right at the onset, right at the starting stage. So at a school and out there, for example, there could be a lot of other gymnasts who have the flexibility, who have the potential, who have the genetic code in them to be great gymnasts, right? Now, systemically, what would you recommend that we do that can be part of the Bharat Wash program to encourage sports?
The best way to identify the talent is to start at a grassroots level. Most of the time, the kids, of course, they will not be aware that they might be good at this or they might not be good at this. And you can get the gene test done. That is something that is available, where you can, yeah. So I have gotten it done to see, like, I have gotten it done for my nutrition, to see which kind of foods I need to help me stay in my peak. So that is something that is available. And doing that, sometimes it also gives you a result. It gives you basically, like, how your genes are, and that kind of does help in being able to identify which sport you might be better at. And sometimes, like, for me, I was not flexible naturally. All the flexibility that I had to work on it. And again, there are 2 ways to approaching this. Having the talent.
And you are extremely flexible. I've seen some of your performances, and
I mean,
you go like,
I'm still not as flexible as I need to be, but I am pretty good with what I am. Yeah. And yeah, like I was saying, there's also 2 ways to approach it. One thing is finding the talent, but another issue that comes is, not always does a talented child, succeed in that particular thing. Because just with talent, you cannot get far. You need to have that attitude towards the sport. You need to have that will. Yeah. You need to have the dedication, you need to have the will, and you need to be strong enough to be able to do it. And I have heard, and there are lots of people who might not be talented, who are not, like, fit for that particular sport, but they have achieved a lot in that. People, like, even for me, for example, like, I've been told multiple times, like, from the day I started, my very first coach himself, he himself said that, I will not be able to get far in the sport. He was like, it will be really great if I just represent at a state level. And now he looks at me and he says that, if I would have known you were so stubborn, I would have trained you to become an artistic gymnast. Because seeing that, it didn't matter whether you were doing artistic or rhythmic or any other sport, you achieved what you did. So yeah, one thing would be identifying the talent, something that comes with the genes, like from childhood. And another thing is the attitude. So I think this is kind of like a nature nurture kind of a, what do you say, argument that comes in.
Do you think currently, Meghana, is there any systematic method that India is following? I'm not talking about any government in specific, that India is following to, number one, identify talent, number two, put them into a structure of nurturing them, and number three, eventually letting them perform and excel?
I think the Kalo India idea that they came up with is something put in place to help identify, this talent. And yeah, because Kalo India, it starts from the, most basic level, from young kids. So I think that was one of the programs that they came up with to help identify. And what they do is, I think they take the top, I don't know, 3 or 4 players from that, and they sponsor them and they support them uh, in training, or like, in any other aspects that they need. So yeah, this is something that the government started. It's been, I'm not sure exactly, I think around 3 years now. I remember 2 cycles. I played one of the Kalo India in 2018. So I think this started from 2017 onwards. So yeah, that is there. And also, like, there are private foundations, like for example, Go Sports. So Go Sports is a foundation that I have been with since 2018, and they have been sponsoring me, and they have been helping me with the sports science part, and any other coordinations with finding the right coaches or anything that I need help with. They have been helping me. So there are foundations like that who uh, support not just the mainstream sports, but also sports like rhythmic gymnastics that not many people are aware of.
Thank you for your time, for being part of the No Filter series. This is a series where we talk everything under the sun, no holds barred, nothing filtered. Yeah. We wish you great luck, and we want you to be part of our Bharat Washed journey, to also include sports as an integral part of a kid's life right at an early age. And we'll figure out how to make this happen in India.
Yeah, I think for the parents, it's just that when you need to put. I mean, you shouldn't put the kids in what you think might be right for them, because like it might not always be something that they want to do. And when you don't have that passion for something that you're doing, you will not be able to get far in it. You need to find your passion, and it can be in anything. Not just in sports. It can be in anything. So you need to find your passion, and you need to work towards growing within that. And a passion doesn't. People usually look at following your passion as just following your hobby, or like something for time pass, but that is not always the case. And yeah, you can achieve what you want to in something you're passionate about if you put in the hard work, and if you have that consistency in doing whatever it is that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Meghna, for being part of this series. It was such a pleasure having you on the show. We wish you all the best, and thank you for sharing such insightful and interesting facts about yourself and your goals and your ambitions. We are joined by 1 billion Indians to wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is Shravan signing off.
Hey everyone, my name is Meghana Reddy Gunlapalli, and catch me on the No Filter stream by SocioLadder.